Look at this final checklist and how that will look in the document that you submit. This is just for the purposes of demonstration, so keep that in mind as we go through this, but I want you to know what the final document's going to look like. So here's my name, date, course. This is the essay that we're writing, and I'm going to include the word count by going to review and looking at the word count for everything before I submit this so that I can get credit for the words. I have an image that I have added to the title page. This image shows my character as a tragic character, in motion, in conversation with somebody else. And that's why I selected that image. It's very important that your title image be consistently showing the thesis of your essay. Not a poster, not an icon, but a picture of that character in motion doing something tragic, staring at a skull, whether you know Hamlet or not, looks like a tragic thing. Okay, so I've given it a title, and I'm going to add a comment there, and I'm going to start my essay. And I start by telling the reader that Hamlet is tortured by the tragedy of his life, and I include a little quote that he says about his fascination with death. And then I say in his speech and throughout the drama, Hamlet struggles with his humanity. Now I'm going to show Hamlet as a tragic hero. And I researched tragic heroes, and here's the website that I found. I went to literarydevices.net and I studied the definition of a tragic hero, and I picked 3 of them to include in my essay. So in my essay, you can see the 3 characteristics of a tragic hero that I selected are 1, 2, and 3. And I clearly have listed these in my introduction so the reader knows that the next section of my essay is going to be about fatal flaw. The next section of my essay is going to be about excessive pride. And the next section of my essay is going to be about his inevitable downfall. And the organization is set up right there in the introduction for the reader to see. Now, which one of these sentences in this introductory paragraph is my thesis sentence? Look it over and see if you can tell. Pause this and see if you can tell which one is my thesis sentence. If you picked this sentence, you were right. That is my thesis. And I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to underline it. This gave information about what the hero is. This was a little bit of introductory information about the character I'm going to be describing. But this is the thesis statement, because each of these things are true, and therefore, in the case of Hamlet, each of these elements of the tragic archetype apply to the protagonist. That makes that my thesis for the whole essay. Now, the next thing I wrote is a sentence that's called a transition sentence. And that's going to take us to this first point about the fatal flaw. So I wrote, consider first the character of the Prince of Denmark, a psychological look, and this is where that psychology information that I researched comes in handy. Look at the character flaws that cause Hamlet's demise, explains the first of his tragic archetypal qualities. First, number 1. Okay. On the essay goes, at the conclusion of the essay is my pretty works cited that I'm going to add at the bottom, and at the bottom of that is my outline. Now, I included an outline for you to go by the template in the assignment PDF, and here's another example of organizing an outline. Whichever way you want to go with the organization is fine, so long as it is an alphanumeric outline. So all the elements are here in this checklist example of the final essay that I'm going to submit. I have 1-inch margins, double spaced. Here's my course information. When it's all over, I'm going to go to review. I'm going to check the word count, and I'm going to find out how many words I have. Now, of course, this isn't many because we just got started. But this is how this will look. I'm including this in a PDF in here so you can look this back over. I know sometimes students just need a little kickstart. They're not exactly sure how to start writing this essay. You got the introduction and you got everything organized and you know what your research is, but gosh, you got to get started writing. So sometimes I like to include a little bit of this just to give you an idea. The first couple of sentences of my introduction tell the reader who I'm talking about. The next few sentences in my introduction tell me exactly what I'm going to be doing in this essay. Without writing that, I can say according to this, the reader knows this is where I got my information. I'm not plagiarizing anything. I'm telling them where I got this information. And then I include my thesis statement, and then I have a transition to the next section of my essay, which will be the section in several paragraphs that explain the fatal flaw of this character. That concludes this tutorial.